Morning, everybody. Welcome to TADTalk, Season 3, Episode 8, I think it is. Got another great show for you today. I got to tell you, this week's been incredible. Last Monday, we had Sam Harris, the original winner of Star Search and his new book, Substance of All Things. Yesterday, boy, was that a good show yesterday with Nick hosting and Karen Dotrice, Jane Banks and Mary Poppins. Fantastic. That was such a good show. Tomorrow, we got another great one with from Glee and Lizzie McGuire. We've got Dot Jones. And then for you yacht rock fans, Ambrosia, the drummer and founder member, Burley Drummond, is on Friday. But today, Wednesday, well, this is one that I've been looking forward to. If I'm honest about it, this is one of the first names that I put on our list of guests that we want to have on here. The word legend is overused so many times. Yesterday, we had a Disney legend. Today, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion, we have a true Las Vegas legend. This is one of the most talented people I have ever known who did not quite make it to the top. But you don't need me to tell you. Check out this video. Other people will tell you.
The Las Vegas Strip. Man, what an era. How could I have been part of all this? See, I had no idea that I was on my way to Las Vegas. No, I was just driving out west. I never dreamed that within 24 hours, I would be singing in the conga room of the Sahara Hotel with a member of the Sinatra family. But that's just what happened. You see, it was Nancy Sinatra who gave this long-haired kid direct from Vietnam wearing a peace sign for a belt buckle a break. She needed a singer in her show, and I was in the right place at the right time. Man, it was pure luck. That Sinatra name really had magic. Oh yeah, she had me on the Merv Griffin show by the end of the week. I couldn't believe this was actually happening to me, or was I just dreaming? No, it was happening, and so fast that I could hardly keep up. Now, let me back up a minute. You see, I was just a singer. I had no hit. I had no TV shows. I certainly wasn't in the movies. I was just a singer without an act. And then one evening in the Hollywood Hills at a party at Merv Griffin's, I think all of Hollywood was there, everything changed. We all stumbled upon the fact that I could mimic just about everybody's favorite singer. Well, that was it. Merv said, "We found your act. You're going to be the singing impressionist."
Dry your pretty eyes, come on, you know.
He does me real well, doesn't he? No, he doesn't just do me, he does everybody. That's his gift.
Oh, yeah. No, see, hey, there were guys doing impressions, but nobody was doing singers, and that was going to be me. I had an act. Murph took me back to Caesar's Palace, reintroduced me to the world as a singing impressionist, and I was off and running.
He is the most clever singer-impressionist in Las Vegas entertainment history, and I'm just delighted he's here today. Wait till you hear him.
While he was rehearsing, I was listening to him in my dressing room, and you're really in for a pleasant surprise. The guy is incredible.
Is known as the king of singing impressionists because, well, he's just that.
Terrific entertainer.
Yeah.
Singer, does impressions.
Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, Dinah Shore, Rich Little, Jerry Lewis, David Letterman, and the king of late night. Could you believe Johnny Carson?
I think you'll be somewhat amazed. He is really super. Would you welcome Bob Anderson? Bob.
Man, all that television landed me a 2-week contract at the Dunes Hotel that turned into 156 weeks of sold-out performances. I started working with the biggest names in show business, and I really became friends with them all. Well, here it is 30 years later, and I'm still paying tribute to the greatest years of music the world will ever know.
I came down this afternoon when Bob was working, and I said, "You're going to tear him apart tonight," and he did. Sensational. Thank you, Bob.
Well, how about that for an opening video? Welcome to the show, Bob Anderson. How are you, Bob?
Thanks, Terry. I'm just doing great, man, and I appreciate you having me on your show, man. You got your own TV show. What is crazy? That? Holy cow!
It's crazy. We started off with an iPhone in a toilet.
It's better than anyone I see on television, too.
Well, it's great. You know, when we started TADTalk, we started off with a phone in a toilet and said, hey, let's start doing this show. And I'm going to be honest with you. We all drew up a list of names of people we thought would be cool guests. You were right up there at the top with a bunch of people for me.
That's very nice.
Very much an admirer, but also you're a wonderful guy. So it's great having you on the show. And I can't wait. We get lots of viewers on this, lots of people watching the show. And I can't wait to introduce the new people who don't know Bob Anderson. And it really, this show could be 5 hours long, but we're going to try and keep it down to 3.
Good. That's great.
Yeah, but we start the show as we always do with 3 completely random questions, just to find out a little bit more about the psyche. Bob, I'm going to ask you, first of all, we're all watching more TV and movies right now. What is your favorite movie of all time?
You know, that's really a difficult one. I mean, I liked Ben-Hur. You know, I liked those movies like that. I always just loved them. But you know what's weird? 12 Angry Men. Man, I just love that movie. Are you hip to what that is? 12 Angry Men. You know, when all those guys are Henry Fonda and all of them, they're all in a courtroom, and they're all trying to. These guys are saying, he's guilty, he's guilty. He said, no, he's not guilty. And they go on they never leave the room.
Oh, wow. I don't think I have seen it, no.
12, put it on, man. 12 Angry Men. That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Okay, I'll watch that. 12 Angry Men.
Gone with the Wind. I love that one. You know, there's so many. I like the movies. I like the movies that are happening today. Yeah. I really, you know, I like a lot of the older ones.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, 12 Angry Men, that's on my list. Here's the next question. What is your pet peeve?
You know what? I really can't say about a lot of pet peeves that I really say, that's my pet peeve, but there's one that stands out, and it's my car, a car.
Okay.
It's a Cadillac. It's a real nice new car and everything, but it's got so much happening on it that I can be driving along and accidentally push a button and it's like going to stop itself, or it's going to do this, or there's so much crap in the car that it's too difficult. You know, I used to have a BMW that had the same thing, and I got rid of it for that reason. But now the Cadillac Camry. So that's my biggest peeve, is the car wants to tell me what to do rather than me telling it.
I think the answer is going to resonate with my wife. She bought me a Tesla for my birthday. So
that's a nice birthday present, Terry.
It is. And so it keeps updating the software. And I don't know how to open the passenger door. I can do so many things.
That's about it, man. That's about it. Yeah.
And she's going, can you just let me out of the freaking car? I said, well, no.
I can't adjust my wife's seat, okay? She wants to get in it. And right there on the side, it says, push this button, that button, and then it's hold it there, and yours will go here. I've been trying that for, 6 months now. I can't get it. So, you know, I'm not from that generation. I don't know what it is. I can't do it. So I'm going to get my kid or my son or my daughter to come over and do it, and they don't have time.
Well, you've had a long and phenomenal career, and we're definitely going to go through all of it. But I love asking this question, especially people who have had some of the highlights that you have had. But if you could go back in the last 40 years or so in your career, or actually in your whole life, and you had to pick just one moment, and I know you've got loads of them, but if you had to pick one moment that you just think back on and think, wow, or poignant or heartfelt, just pick one moment in your life that you can go back to.
And then I could go back to a moment. Well, I think that it was probably the first time I was on The Tonight Show, you know, because I was on it with I was very young, and I was about 24 years old, and I was on with Muhammad Ali and Bob Hope.
Okay.
Now, and I got. It went over so big what I did. Johnny Carson gave me such a great introduction and stuff, and I got on. And after the song was over, I ended the song, my piece with Tom Jones. I was doing Tom Jones, Delilah. And anyway, when I was done, the audience, or the whole band stood up. The whole audience stood up. The whole Carson, all of them stood up. I got one of the standing ovations, and it was just an amazing thing. And I mean, maybe I'll tell you about that, and as we go along here, that one story. But it's being on the Tonight Show.
That's great.
Yeah, oh yeah, because I'll tell you, there's really something I want to tell you about that. We can come back to it, about Johnny Carson, what he did.
Well, I've been researching some stuff as we got to the show. I know you well anyway, but I also read last night that you are the only person in the history of the Tonight Show to be a guest on the show twice in 1 week. Is that right?
That is right, yes. And next time I was on, the second night, Johnny said, and then he said, he says, and I'm not Rich Little, but he says, my re-election, nobody's ever been on the show twice in the same week. But here he is. But he knocked the place apart. What happened? Do you want me to tell you a little bit about what happened with me and Johnny Carson?
Love to know that, yeah.
Okay, I mean, if this is your show, I don't know if this is the time.
This is your show. Whatever. This is your show.
Oh, okay, but it was so weird, man. I go into there and I go to the Tonight Show because Jim McCauley was the guy who would he made sure all the artists that Johnny wanted, he took care of them. He made sure they went and got them everything. So Jim McCauley called me and told me, he said, Johnny saw you on the Merv Griffin show. He said, we'd like to know if you can be on the Tonight Show. And okay, so I get down there and everything. And when I walk in, I'll make this real quick. And my wife says, you can't say anything quick, Bob. Okay, but I will. I'm going to make this quick. So I walk in. Now, you've been into big places. This was at Metro Goldwyn Mayer when I'm walking. Now, there's a gigantic, they got the pictures that are like 50 foot high in the walls, and because the doors are real thick because the soundproof and everything. Yeah. So I'm walking through there, and they just opened the little door a little bit. They said, come on. And I see Johnny's desk over there. Okay, Carson's desk. Now, the way the Tonight Show works, and the way it used to work always too, is, you'd get there about 10 in the morning. You start rehearsing at noon. Then you'd all go to the commissary, and then you come back and you start shooting at 3:30, and it airs that evening at 11:30. Okay, so I got there. And I'm there, and I'm the first thing. Let's take you to your dressing room. I go to my dressing room. First dressing room I pass is Bob Hope. Now I go, holy cow, Bob Hope is here. The next one on the door says Bob Anderson, and I go, the next one says Muhammad Ali. Now he's the champion of the world. Okay, so Muhammad Ali. So I go in there, and we go out, and now it's time to rehearse. So I'm out there rehearsing. And I'm brand new at this. I wasn't doing impressions. I never did impressions in my life until it happened. Merv Griffin found out I could do them by accident and wrote my whole show, my act for me. So now I just started doing the impressions, and Carson caught me on there and says, come on. So I'm on there, and I'm going to do like 8 guys or something, okay? So all of a sudden I'm out there rehearsing and stuff, and on the Tonight Show, where all the seats are there, and then there's an aisleway coming down the middle. And Johnny used to go out there, and he'd say, here, if you can do this, we'll give you 3 tickets for this, and all of that. So Johnny Carson starts walking down the steps. Now, he never does that. He never goes. He doesn't want to see his guests ahead of time because he doesn't want it to be, that way. He wants to just be, when he asks you something, that's what he does. So anyway, he comes down, he walks up on the stage, and I'm rehearsing. And he says, Bob, Johnny Carson. And I said, oh, I know who you are, man. So he says, no, I'm sure you do. But he says, listen, this is amazing. He said, I forgot that you were here. He said, I heard you up there. And he says, that's funny. We don't have Tony Bennett here or Tom Jones, so you maybe come down here. So he says to me, is everything all right? Everything good and all this stuff? Now, be innocently naive that I was at the time, I said to Johnny, but Johnny, I said, they got me doing, I've got 8 guys here that I'm going to do, and they have me doing 4 minutes on the show to try to do this. I'm trying to figure it out. He says, Peter, come here. He calls Peter LaSalle over, his director, and he says, Peter, let the kid do his act. So let the kid do his act, okay? He says, Bob, just do your act. So make a long story short, okay, so I go out there, and he said, this afternoon I had the monitor on. He says, and I was listening to who's out here. He says, that's funny. We didn't have Tony Bennett or Tom Jones. When I came downstairs, he said, I think you're going to be somewhat amazed. He's going to knock you out of your seats. Bob Anderson. So I go out there. Oh, but I didn't tell you this. After we ate at the commissary, after we had lunch, or I did that thing, I go back, and I can't get in my doorway, because Muhammad Ali and Bob Hope are leaning up against my doorway because they're over here, and this was in the middle, and I'm so embarrassed. I mean, I don't even know how to approach them. So I'm saying, that's my room. Can I get in there? So finally they look at me, and they say, oh, I go like that. So I go and sit down. I'm sitting down a minute, and Andy Williams walks by the door. So I turn, and I said, was that Andy Williams? And Ali turns to me and says, yeah, didn't you see him? That's Andy Williams. So I said, I'm not doing him in the show. So I ran out the door, and I found Doc Severinsen and Tommy Newsom. And I said, Doc, I just saw Andy Williams. Is he here? He says, yeah, Bob, he's going to be sitting right in the front row. He was playing tennis with Johnny out in the lot. He says he's here all the time. I said, oh, my gosh, I'm not doing him. So right at that point, Terry, Tommy Newsom and Doc Severinsen wrote my chart out for Andy Williams. So I go back out, and sure enough, Andy Williams is sitting right there in the front seat. And I never did Andy Williams before. I never was doing this. So I walk out, I don't know what I'm going to do, and I say, listen, I'd like to recreate, do some of the greatest singers for you in the business today. I said, how about Andy Williams? And Andy looks at me, and so I say, well, here's one of my songs that I never really cared for. I said, but I made over, I don't know, 3-4 million on this, so I thought I'd leave it in the show. So Andy starts laughing. So I do Andy Williams. Make a long story short, I do all my guys. Everybody stands up, and I get a standing ovation from everybody, and Carson keeps applauding in the thing. And the guy told me, Bob, you will not go and sit down. Nobody's ever sat down at the Tonight Show in the first time. Well, he was right. I did not. But Johnny got up out of his seat and came over and gave me a big hug and the whole thing, and stopped it and says, do you believe this? He said, I told you he was going to knock you out of the seat. He goes and sits back down, starts applauding again. They wanted me to do 4 minutes. I did 14 minutes and 50 seconds in my show, first time. So I go home. I'm watching the next day on there, and Tom Jones is on the show. And Carson says, he says, Tom, do you know who Bob Anderson is? And he says, yeah. He says, of course I do. So he says, yeah. He says, well, he said, he was on the show last night. If I'd have known, he says, that you were going to be here this close, he says, I wouldn't have had you. He said, because we had Bob. He said, geez, he did a hell of a job with you. So Tom says, well, the reason Bob is the best at what he does is because he actually sings as good as the person he's doing. So he says, well, yeah, that's good. So I go home. I'm saying, oh, my God, I was just on the Tonight Show, and now Tom Jones is talking about me on there. This is when Tom was, king of the business. Yeah. So Carson, I get a phone call next morning. It's Bob Gimicali. You killed Johnny. He wants to know if you can come back on the show tomorrow night. I said, just a minute. I think I'm golfing tomorrow. No, I didn't say that. I said, so I go back there, and I did the show again, and now it's in the book. Here's Johnny. Bob is the only one in the history of the Tonight Show to do it twice in the same way.
How many times have you done the Tonight Show?
I've done it 7 times.
That's great. That's great. For anybody watching, we've got so many people watching the show right now and are already blown away. That last 5 or 6 minutes is going to give you an idea how today goes. Because if you're ever lucky enough to sit in a room or sit across a Zoom call and talk to Bob, this is how it goes. The stories are endless, and it's just it's amazing. Bob, I'm going to play a video. There are impressionists, impersonators, and then for me, there's Bob Anderson. But check out this early video here from Bob Anderson.
Thanks.
He is known as the king of singing impressionists because, well, he's just that. Here he is, the incredible Bob Anderson, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome him, please.
The legendary Mr. Tony Bennett. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me. Someone I've needed so long. Thank you for remembering. For once unafraid, I can go where life leads me. Somehow I know I'll be strong. Beautiful. For once I can say, this is mine, you can't take it. Oh. Long as I've got love, I'm gonna make it. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me. Oh, everybody loves somebody sometime. Ooh, everybody falls in love somehow. Well, it's something that your kiss just told me. Was I finished? What kind of clown am I? And what do I know like? Why can't I cast away this mask of blame? Go out and live my life. Oh,
How old were you there?
I haven't seen that one in a while. I haven't seen that one in a while, Terry.
How old were you there, Bob?
That's very good. How old was I there?
Yeah.
I'd say that I was about 29 or 30.
That's great. It's so good. I mean, I whenever I do a show, host a show like this, I try to ride the line of being a fan, admirer, and being an interviewer, and I'm having the hardest time today because I'm looking at this and going, well, I mean, it's just insane how close Tony Bennett is. And then you come out and do Sammy, and you've got all the physicality of Sammy. And yeah, it's amazing. It's phenomenal. And, you know, I tell this story a lot. My dad, who passed away a couple of years ago, he was a piano player, singer, and he loved impersonators. I remember taking him to see Danny Gans, and they was just blown away. And boy, I wish I'd have seen you. I wish I'd have seen you. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So I know from that first interview, I believe it was Nancy Sinatra that brought you into the whole Vegas thing. Am I right there?
Yes. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's it's like there's so many stories here. I was just talking to Ross, the guy that works with you there, about this, that it's kind of crazy. You know, the weird thing about it there is that, like I always say, that I never try to boast. I never try to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm not like that. But it's what I found really amazing, that so many people have come up to me and say, hey, Bob, did you ever meet this? Did you ever know this person? And you know, the weird thing, the funny thing about it is about 98% of the time I can say, yes, I do know that person. I did know that person, and I did this. I mean, I just got to know so many people. See, I was the guy that, it was Nancy Sinatra that brought me. That story is absolutely amazing, because I was driving in my old Volkswagen. I came from the Vietnam War had just ended, you know, and I was over there. And when I got back right at the end of the war, and I was driving out there, and I wanted to clear my head. I was in the 4th Infantry Division. And I took my old Volkswagen. I was going to Los Angeles. I didn't know Route 66 went that way out of Chicago, and I wound up in Vegas. Well, I was cut off, sandals, long hair, peace sign for a belt buckle. I was like that, man. So I drove in there, you know, and I'm like 22 years old, 22 years old. And I pull in my car. I parked it way in the back of I see, wow, Frank Gorshin and Joan Rivers. So I parked my car in the back of the hotel. I went in, and I sat at the bar right next to the Congress showroom. And a guy comes up to me, and he sits down next to me and starts talking. His name is Mark Tan, and he was a big journalist for the Review Journal and Hollywood Reporter and stuff. And he's very close friends with Nancy Sinatra. So we're sitting there, and he says, hey, would you like to come in and watch a rehearsal with Nancy Sinatra? They're rehearsing. And I said, yeah, man, that'd be cool. I said, I didn't know what that is, man. He said, no, they're practicing. I mean, I wasn't in the business. I knew nothing about it. I knew I could sing, but I was not in show business or nothing. I was just a singer. I sang in my car and stuff. So anyway, I go in there, and we sit down. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the Everly Brothers are up on stage, and they get in a big fight, just like that. Nancy Sinatra comes out, says to them, well, you saw it in that video that you already played. So I don't want to be redundant with this, but it was Nancy Sinatra that was in need of an act. I walked up to the stage. I said to the guy, I said, hey, man, I'm a singer. I can do whatever she needs. He starts laughing. And I said, no, really, I am. He says, well, go walk up there and tell her. I said, no, I can't go up there, man, like this, so I'm dressed. He said, go tell her. So I walk up to the stage in my cutoffs and sandals and hair. And then I said, excuse me, Nancy, they're all in a panic. She's going to open in 4 hours. She had Glenn Campbell on the phone. She had Victor Moon. She had nobody could make it over there to help her in that time. So I walked up the stage and I said, excuse me, Nancy. Everybody looked at me and it went silent. I'm like, how'd that kid get in here?
It looks like we may have lost Bob's feed, which is a shame, but we're going to try and get this back. Oh, we've got him back. There you are. Sorry, Bob, we lost you for a second.
No, my phone rang. I got on there, and she said to me, I said, I'm a singer, and I can do it, you know, your thing. So the conductor, who guy's name was Billy Strange, who was Elvis Presley's conductor and Frank Sinatra's producer. They were very close friends, the family Sinatras and the Elvis Presley. They were very close family. They were close people. So Billy Strange says, give the kid a mic, Nancy. We open in 4 hours. She says, well, what about my duets? I said, oh, I know your duets, Nancy. So they hand me the microphone, and I go in. They start kicking off. I know I stand in line until you think you find the time. And I sang that thing and harmonized it with her. She came off the stage, hugged me, and I opened that night in the showroom with her. Crazy. And I toured with her, and this goes on and on. And so I don't want to go on and on. I want you to just.
No, great stories, amazing, and it just goes on. You're right. We could honestly be here all day, and we may do Bob Anderson Part 2 and Part 3 of TAD Talk. But I want to make sure the viewers see you in action. You talked about Muhammad Ali and Bob Hope and the whole Andy Williams thing, and I've heard you sing Andy Williams. And you look at Tony Bennett, and you've got the growl that Tony has, and then you look at Andy Williams, which is an accomplishment completely. But I've also heard you do Jack Jones, and I'm like, how do you do that? So Rich Little talked about the difference between impressionists and impersonators, and just watch this with Rich opening this video.
Let me tell you the questions people have about the art of mimicry. For example, what is the difference between an impressionist and an impersonator? Well, the impersonator duplicates. I mean, it's really a carbon copy of the original, whereas the impressionist goes beyond the impersonator. He usually exaggerates, you know, and he makes it a lot larger than life. Now, Bob Anderson, in my estimation, is an impersonator, and he's got to be one of the best. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Anderson.
Favorite performers like Andy Williams. Andy's so clean. Here's another one of my multi-million sellers. Remember this one? Of course you do. The days of white and roses. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Like a child at play with a golden smile that introduced me to the days of wine and roses and you. I've got you under my skin. I've got you, baby, so deep in the heart of me. Baby, you're so deep in my heart that you're really a part of me. A doopy-doopy-dooba. Yes, I've got you under my skin.
It's amazing. Amazing. We've got so many people commenting on this. By the way, Bob and Corey Sachs are on here. They said that you're the best, Bob. Love you.
Oh, they're very sweet.
I love both of them. Bob and Corey are wonderful people. Bob is
fantastic,
absolutely sensational bass musician.
Yeah, they're both, and Corey's a great singer and
fantastic.
She does the greatest. What's the country singer she does?
Yeah, Reba.
She does everybody too.
Yeah.
And Bob, he's been a bass player with me for 30 years, and he's worked with you too.
Yeah, well, I love working with Bob. He's, I don't like him because his hair is unbelievable. I mean, what's this? He's got 18-year-old hair. But, no, they're both brilliant people. Fantastic. We've got so many people commenting about this, but we ended that last video on Frank Sinatra. And if you think Bob Anderson and you're looking at the impressions and so on, you think, wow, this guy's good. Well, how do you not so much reinvent yourself, but reinvent what I consider to be a new art form later on in your career? Because I've got to tell you this story. Back in 2014, I believe it was, Ann and I were going up to Las Vegas. We wanted to get away. we've been working hard. We just wanted to go. No shows, no internet, no phone, no computer. We're going to go and sit by the pool, have some drinks, have dinners, and just chill out. And I put it on Facebook that we're going to Vegas for a few days to chill out. And Bob Sachs texted me and said, Terry, you got to come and see this show. Now, whether I missed it was Bob Anderson or whatever it is, all I knew was it was a Frank Sinatra tribute. And I said, Bob's invited us, we should just go. And Ann and I ended up in a little bit of a disagreement. We're supposed to be going up there just to relax. And we really didn't want to go. And I said, we can't do that. Let's just sit at the back so we can get out of the room. And we got in there, and of course, Bob Sachs got us a really nice table. It's actually a booth in the middle of the room, set back a couple of rows from the front, elevated.
You had the expensive seats, Terry.
Yeah, they were. And I'm not exaggerating because I tell this story a lot. And the show started, 32, 33-piece orchestra led by Vinnie Falcone, who was Sinatra's MD for years, 10, 12 years. And Bob walks on stage. And I'm not exaggerating. 3 songs in, Ann and I look at each other and we are both crying. Not teary, crying, bawling. It is without doubt, and I've been blessed to see a lot of people live in concert. It is without doubt the greatest performance I've ever seen on a stage, bar none. There's nothing to touch it. The videos are amazing, but Ann and I both say, we said it then, we say it now, we've never seen anything like it. It's incredible. But I want to play 3 minutes of it. The videos are amazing, but you can't imagine, because you think you're in that room, stood 20 feet away from Frank Sinatra. Check this out.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. And if you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Come luck, let a gentleman see how nice a dame you can be. I know the way you've treated other guys you've been with. Hey, luck, be a lady with me. A lady. I'm going to dedicate this show to the creative geniuses that made it all possible for me. The composer, that gallant and immensely talented breed, who's given everyone in the world a chance to say they're playing my song, and this one is mine. I have got you under my skin. I have got you deep in the heart of me. You are so deep in my heart that you are a part of me. I got you under my skin. And I tried so. A salute right here to you, Don. Little Jack Daniels, never heard anybody. Here's that rainy day that they told me about, and I laughed at the thought that it might turn out this way. Well, that's how it goes. And Joe, I know you're getting anxious to close. Thanks for the beer, and I hope you didn't mind my bending your ear. But this torch that I found has gotta be drowned, or it's gonna explode Make it one for my baby, one more for the road. Nuts. You make me feel so young, hey. You make me think there are songs to be sung, bells to be rung.
Stunning, Bob. I'm looking at these. You don't even know where to start. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And my wife is on there. Said you actually felt like you were watching Frank all the way through. You did. You did. If you watched a movie about Frank Sinatra where somebody looked exactly like him, a movie that has all the benefits of editing and post-production, it was the same thing. You were watching Frank Sinatra. It was incredible. I remember meeting you after the show, Bob, and saying hi after the show. We'd met you way before that. And I told you that we wanted. What I meant to say was we were going to leave after 10 minutes because we were going to sit in the back. But what came out was we wanted to leave after 10 minutes, which was actually the opposite of what I was trying to say. But I'll forever thank Bob Sachs for that because it was amazing. So I've got questions about that. All your life building up to this, and then all of a sudden, you make the decision, and maybe it wasn't all of a sudden, that you're going to do Frank. How do you take it to the next level? What kind of work did you go through to say, okay, I've got my hair, my curly hair, and I look like this, but now I'm going to have every physical mannerism done?
Well, what happened there? I was in Branson, Missouri, working with Andy Williams for the last 4 years of his life. He and I did shows together, and Andy called me to come and work with him because, excuse me, because he knew that the music business was changing drastically, and he thought that I wasn't working in Las Vegas. I couldn't get a gig or something, so he called and says, "Bob, why don't you come down here and work with me?" So I said, "Okay, Andy." So I went down there and we started working together. And while I was there, I thought again, this is going to come to an end at some time, or I can't keep working with Andy. What am I going to do? Because all the people that I were doing were almost irrelevant into the music business world today. And then I got thinking, there's only one guy is Frank Sinatra. He's the only guy that transcends every single generation. He's as popular today, his name, as he was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and it's amazing. You can go around and all the kids know his name and stuff, and it's amazing. So I went ahead and I said, I'm going to do Andy Williams, or Frank Sinatra. So what I did, Andy and I talked about it, and Bill Medley. Bill Medley was a very, very close friend of mine. He was the first one to ever read my script and help me with it and stuff. But anyway, I went downstairs to my house. I built a room with all mirrors, one great big screen, a big Bose system and a thing for microphone. And every morning I would get up at 5:30 in the morning, and I did this for a year, 4 days a week. And that's what it took. And I would play his videos, and people got to know what I was doing. And I was getting videos sent to me from all over the world, a lot of them from England and Paris and stuff, for me to do this. So I wound up getting up at that time, and for 2 hours a day, I would put a tuxedo on, and I would look at every move he made, every breath he took, everything, and I studied him for a solid year, 2 hours a day, 4 days a week. And then I went and I decided I needed to look like him. I went to L.A., and I got a guy named Kazu Tsuji, who now is a two-time Academy Award winner. He just did Lincoln. Or Lincoln, and he did the English, what's his name, who was in the war.
Lewis, was it?
Who was in the war. And anyway, he did my makeup for me, and that's how it all came about. And I went with my investors. I said, listen, I am going to find a place for this show in the center of the Strip. I'm going to go there, and I'm only going to work for 1 year. I don't want to work any longer than that because it's no longer Sinatra's town. I want 1 year. But in 2 weeks, it's going to be the talk of the town. And I said, and we're going to win the show of the year, too. And they said, Bob, man, that's great. We're putting our money in there. Let's go. With Terry, again, folks, who's listening to this is not Bob boasting. I'm just telling you, you can go look it up. We got there. I got the #1 hotel in town, the Venetian Hotel, right in the center of the Strip. After 2 weeks, it was the talk of the town. It ran for 1 year. And at the end of the year, they had the Best of the Best awards. There were 112 people at the Best of the Best awards up for it. There's only 3 awards that can be won. My show won all 3 of them, beating out Celine Dion and Jersey Boys. So I won all 3 awards for that year. And then we left, and now, I don't know, I've been doing shows with you.
Yes, you have.
And which I enjoy. I love that place over there, man.
It's,
and now we're going to Broadway.
We are. And I want to talk about Broadway in a second. Tony Bennett saw your show in Vegas 3 times, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He wrote the ending.
I know. I remember you telling me that night that Tony wrote the ending of your show for you, but he also made a quote that you used.
He did.
And what was it?
He was sitting there, and he never took his eye. It was so weird. His feet were crossed. His hands were between his knees. He was looking forward off the edge of his seat, and I was looking at him like, wow, man, it was freaking me out because he stayed there and just stared at me, everything he did. And when it was over, he said, he said, you got a minute? And I said, yeah, that's about it, but I got a minute. So he laughed and he said, I always like you because your sense of humor, that's the whole thing. Come on, let's go downstairs. He took me to my dressing room and he said, I'm going to tell you something. You had me the second you walked on stage. And he said, you had me throughout the whole stage, the show. He said, Frank would have loved this show, Bob. And so he said, but there's one thing that you did wrong. And I said, what's that? He said, you went on the stage and then you left the stage and nobody knew your name. He said, they don't even know who you are. He said, you come out as Frank Sinatra, you leave and the show's over and everybody walks out. And they said, well, who is that? He said, here's what I want you to do. When you sing that black end part, that's life. That's what all the people say. And he's singing it to me. Riding high in April, shot down in May. At the end, he said, I want you to turn around, go back to the piano, take your tie off. Because when you take your tie off, you're not going to be Sinatra anymore because you're so into him. Frank Sinatra never took his tie off on stage, ever. So when you take it off, you're not going to be Frank Sinatra. I know it. And then I want you to turn around and go back to the audience and say, there'll never be another Frank Sinatra, folks. My name is Bob Anderson, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did presenting this to you. And he said, you're going to get the biggest response of your show. And he was exactly right.
Yes, yeah.
And I walked back there, and he said, then I want you to end the show as yourself. And you tell him this. I get everything. I did all this for you. If you don't mind, can I do a song for myself dedicated to this great artist who made me the singer that I am today? And I want to end it with myself. And you sing it as my way. And that's what I did. And that's what I've been doing. And so Tony's just the greatest.
No, it's
listen, here's what he did. So I get home after that night. I go home, right? And I look, and in my computer, I go up and I pull it out. And he went and he wrote it out. What he wanted me to do, put it in scanned it, sent it back and put it on my computer. And when I got there, it was written by Tony Bennett. Now I've got that.
Oh, good for you. And I said at the beginning of the show, we could be here forever. There's so many stories. I want to get to some of the viewers' questions. There's one here that says, which has been the most difficult voice or singer to emulate, and how long does it usually take you to perfect each voice?
The most difficult one to perfect is Frank Sinatra. There's no question about it. And the reason why that is because Frank Sinatra has nothing to grab onto. If you're going to do Robert Goulet, oh, no, he's up there. Robert Goulet talks, up here. Okay,
Right.
he sings. And
Andy Williams is like here. You know, Tony Bennett's got that thing up here.
Frank Sinatra's right down the middle. There's nothing. You know, now you got Vic Damone, you got Steve Lawrence, you got Frank Sinatra, you got all those guys. But to do Frank Sinatra, first of all, he's absolutely amazing as a singer. People don't even understand how good he really was. If you study him for as long as I did, and I studied all the singers. So to make this end it, Frank Sinatra is. But I'll tell you, Tony Bennett is not as hard to do, but in my opinion, Tony Bennett rates right up there with Frank Sinatra as one of the greatest saloon singers of all time.
Absolutely. We saw him here in Phoenix at the Celebrity Theater about 18 months ago, and he was stunning. Is there anyone in your life, any in the industry, that you didn't meet or haven't met, and you would have liked to or would like to?
Yeah, Elvis Presley. You know, that would have been great. You know. Because I went to see an Anne Margaret show at the International Hotel, which that's what it used to be. Then it was a Hilton. And Nancy took me there when I just first started with her, and we were sitting in a booth. And up here to my right, you know, I'm over here in the booth. Over there's the stage, and Anne Margaret's on stage, and the place is jam-packed. It had a balcony. It was the biggest theater in Vegas at the time. And this is when I just started with Nancy Sinatra. So we're sitting there, and the table next to us is empty. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching and I'm wondering, why is that empty? So, but it could have meant that anybody was going to sit on it. But I look and here comes a guy who comes in. First of all, there was a thing was put on his table of silver and it was all this to drink and out of his stuff. And I'm looking there and I'm wondering what that is. Elvis Presley comes walking up and sits right in the booth next to us. And I go, Nancy, you ain't going to believe this. Elvis Presley is right in the next booth. And she says, I knew he was coming. I said, you knew he was coming. Why didn't you tell me that? So I'm looking at him, Terry, and all of a sudden, I'm not even paying any attention to Anne Margaret. Nancy's looking directly at her. I'm looking this way because I'm at the corner of the booth at Elvis. All of a sudden, 12 gigantic motorcycles come on stage, Harleys, with big old, you remember the old ones with the big lights on the front?
Yeah.
And they come up, and there's 12 of them that come out there. And I look, and Elvis Presley's gone because it caught my attention, these lights coming into the audience. He leaves. Next thing I know, he runs out on the stage, and boom, he drops and comes up like Elvis Presley used to do. This is when he was in a black outfit and looked so handsome, and everything was perfect. And he walked out there, the audience freaked out, and all he said was, I'm not doing anything here. I'm just here to pick up my girl. And he got her on the motorcycle, he kicked it himself, and drove it right off the stage. Elvis. So I wish I would have met Elvis.
Have you written a book?
No, I haven't, and I've got it started in the first chapter and stuff, but that's been in that first chapter for about 5 years now.
Yeah, well, that would be some book.
I want to do that.
I need to tell the viewers that you're going to have an opportunity to win a CD of Bob. We're going to ask him to sign it. We have, I don't know if you have them there, but we have a Frank the Man, the Music program that I'd love to get signed for the viewers. And you can get to win it by going on our trivia game. So if you put this on your smartphone or put it on your tablet, it's better than doing it on a laptop. And you've got TADTrivia.com/Las Vegas. Just put that on your phone. And you got a chance to win a signed CD and the Frank program. So TADTrivia.com/Las Vegas, and that'd be great. Bob, it's been amazing having you on the show. I mean, we could literally go on forever.
Oh, I know. It went by so fast, man.
Yeah, I know. And while we'll let people get on that link, and we're putting the link on there too. I want to ask you about obviously coronavirus has shut our industry down. It's been tough, and I know that you are close. We're close, and we'll be planning it next year to doing something very exciting in Broadway. and that's bringing Frank to Broadway, right?
Yes, sir. And
what are some of those highlights of what we can look forward to there?
Well, again, what it's going to be is I'm going to have the only orchestra. They tell me that it's up on the stage. The orchestra, the seating, and everything on the stage is going to look like the old Copacabana in New York. You know, stages in Broadway, people would think they'd be big and everything. They're very intimate and they're tight. So I'm going to bring it all in close. People are going to come out and walk out, and it's going to be designed just like the old Copacabana. And it's going to be. I'm going to do a 12-week run, and my partner on this thing is Eva Price, who had Sir Evan Hansen and Oklahoma and just so many of the shows on Broadway. And we would have already been on it had this not happened. But, you know, I mean, that's happened to everybody. So we are just really looking forward to it. They think that probably my show is going to appear there in the early spring. You know, Terry, when you go there, you need about 3 or 4 months of advertising in advance before the show starts in Broadway. But it's going to be, I'm going to go on there, and I've learned an awful lot, man, about Frank Sinatra. I mean, I watch my stuff all the time, and, you know, I'm my biggest critic, and I'm never happy with what I do with these guys because they're just so great that trying to be Tony Bennett and trying to be those people, Johnny Mathis and stuff, you know, I don't know how it happens, but I never practiced in my life. My son would tell you and everything. It just, if I want to do somebody, I just step into the character and just, you know, and I just step into Tony Bennett and you just become him. You know, I never practice it or anything.
How many voices do you do, Bob?
You know, I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't mean it that weird, but I mean, you know, I like to do people, when I'm singing, I like to do Matt Monroe. I do, never forget the time when the great jazz, Mel Torme, brought me out of the audience in New York to get up and sing with him. And he said, "Young man, do you do me?" And I wound up doing him, and now it's on the video, the one that's wanted to do. But yeah, out of nowhere, I said, "No, I wasn't doing you." But he says, "What do you want to do?" And I did, you know, "I can only give you love that lasts forever. That's all. And I went through this thing. So, I mean, it just came to me. Then doing I've never done them, but it worked. And
I've seen the Mel Torme. You've got the whole facial expressions down.
Oh yeah. So I never, you know, I never practiced doing anybody. Now I'm vocalizing every single day and working out every single day because, you know, Broadway's a big step, man. And to take Frank Sinatra and be the one that's going to be the first one to put him on stage, that's a wonderful honor and thrill and tremendous challenge. And if I think about it too much, it's scary. But
well, I know that putting a show on Broadway is, one, very expensive, and two, a big crapshoot because of the choices, especially with what's going on in the world. But I mean this. I started this show off by saying the word legend. Who knows if something will work? You put it in Broadway, you put it in Vegas. But I do know that, and I mean this, anybody that walks into that theater and spends X amount of dollars on a ticket will walk out being glad they did. I mean, they may think it's the greatest, they may not think it's the greatest, but they'll be glad they did, Bob, because the show is incredible. It's an experience. You're not going to watch a singer. You're going to experience a moment in time. It's like watching the greatest movie you've ever seen in 3D. It's right there in front of you. I can't wait to go to Vegas.
You know, like I said, you're very sweet and all that. And I'm going to give one credit to one thing so that people understand just this, that the other thing that makes this show work outside of Bob Anderson is the fact that I have the actual real music of Frank Sinatra's. It's not takedown charts by anybody. You know, I showed you all some of these things earlier. And they're the real charts. And when you go to New York, there's a saying, you don't take a musician to Manhattan. Some of the finest musicians in the world are in New York, and we have them. We've already got them lined up. So when they go in there and they play these Sinatra songs, it's going to be that they're playing Sinatra's music like you've heard it at Carnegie Hall. That's what they're going to play.
And just to tell and just to tell the audience real quick, because I know we're going over time, and I really wish we had 2 hours. But just to let the audience know, to paraphrase the story you told me, when Frank was coming to the end of his career, he gave 51 of his charts, and he'd been doing it over a period of time, to Vinnie Falcone, who was his musical director, and said, "I want you to take care of my music." And when
keep it going, keep it alive.
Keep it going. And when Vinnie was dying, he gave them to you.
Yes.
It's amazing, Bob.
He said, that's what he said. He said, "Bob, the old man would like you to keep it going." I know. So we have this. And Vince's son is with me, Danny Falcone. I don't know if you know Danny.
I don't know.
Danny's one of the top trumpet players in the world. Danny has been with Celine Dion for 12 years now. He's with Lady Gaga. He toured the world with Tom Jones. Danny's he's number one. So
tremendous.
So I do have Sinatra the music, and he's my music guy. He brings it all and all that stuff. But the thing is that's what it's about. It's not, it's the music. It's called The Man, the Music is the show. It's called, and that's what it's about. It's about taking you through the time periods of Sinatra's career, not too early, but from the 50s on. And that's what it's about. And it's a reenactment that took place at Caesar's Palace in 1970 in the Circus Maximus showroom.
It's great.
And that's what the show's about. And I'm really looking forward to it.
We've got my best friend Sam. He runs our UK division out of London, and we were talking about Frank's music, and he just wrote, "Can I have them next, please?"
Yeah, there's a lot of people who would like those.
No kidding. And Anne said they couldn't be in any more worthy hands. I think she was talking about Bob, Sam.
And listen, I can't wait to go to the UK and perform this show as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be a thrill for me. And,
absolutely. Just to remind everyone, it's tadtrivia.com/Las Vegas. That's tadtrivia.com/Las Vegas. Go on there, wait. We'll be starting it very soon. Bob, I want to tell you one story.
Okay.
Jack Jones is not only a great friend, but he's an incredible performer. I'm a big admirer of Jack, and I know you know Jack very, very well. Jack performed at Sky for us twice, once with Vinnie Falcone and once with Mike Renzi. Now, when he first appeared there, he did 4 nights, with the last night being Mother's Day. And I have 3 stories I tell. I'm going to tell 2 of them here. And I obviously knew of Vinnie Falcone as being Frank Sinatra's MD, but Vinnie Falcone was not on my radar. Didn't know he was on the show. It was just Jack, and we were putting everything in place to make sure that the stage was right for Jack, and the piano was in tune, and everything was good. So the rehearsal's over, and I'm running around like an idiot and making sure everything's good. And I'm there walking around and by the steps in the Platinum Room at Sky. And this guy comes up to me and says, "Are you Terry?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm the musical director. I just want to find out which hotel we're in so we can go." And I've got my clipboard to say, "What's your name?" He said, "Falcone." And I said, "First name, Vincent?" And I went, "Shit, are you Vinnie Falcone?" I was like, immediately starstruck. So that's the first thing. So flip forward 4 days. We've just done the show. My mom, massive Jack Jones fan. He'd sung to her in the show. She had her album. We went for dinner next door in the dining room. So there's about 9 of us, and there's Jack and Eleanor and Vinny and Anne and Nick and myself and so on. So we're playing. So Nick's there with his what do they call it? The iTunes thing before iPhones.
Yeah, I know.
He had iPod, and he's got it there. And Jack said to him, "What are you listening to?" So he said, "Billy Joel." He said, "Billy Joel?" I said, "Yeah, the greatest songwriter ever. This is Nick. This is my son, 15-year-old Nick." And Vinny says, "What?" And he says, I bet you don't have a Jack Jones song on there. And he said, yeah, I do. It's called The Race Is On. So he says, Billy Joel's a good songwriter. This is Vinny, but he's not the greatest. And Nick said, remember, Nick's 15. He's 26 now. Who's the greatest? I'll never forget this. We'd finished dinner. So Jack says, and we're here, and Jack and Vinny are there. He said, Nick, come around here. And he came around, and they moved off our table into a booth behind them. The place was closed. We were just having dinner after it was closed. And Jack and Vinny sat with Nick and told him half an hour of stories about Sammy Kahn and Vegas and
Johnny Mandel.
Absolutely. And I leaned over to Nick and said, for the next half an hour, you be a sponge. That's all you're going to do is just listen.
Oh, my God. What a great story that is. Because your son was listening to two of the top. Jack Jones, I didn't mention Jack in here, but the Jack's in a league by himself as well.
Absolutely.
Jack had Michel Legrand's favorite singer, and nobody touched Michel Legrand's music as well as Jack Jones.
Yeah.
Jack is just it. A range. And when Jack used to, but Jack, you know the difference between Jack and but 1 second, between the difference between Jack Jones and Tony Bennett and Frank Sinatra and Andy Williams and Johnny Mathis? There's one big difference, and that is Jack Jones can fill those shoes of the music that they sing, but they cannot do the songs that Jack Jones sings. Jack Jones could do the contemporary songs of the day better than just about anybody in the world could do them.
Yeah.
And he could do the Elton John, he could sing anything. And those other guys could not do that like Jack Jones.
Amazing. But Jack's version of God Only Knows.
Oh.
Stunning.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I get, looking at me again, I'm weird, man. I've studied these guys so much. Jack calls me at times, he goes, hey, he says, what was that song that I did? And can you start it off here for me? I forgot how it goes. And I said, yeah. And he said, didn't I do blah, blah, blah? Yes, you did. You did it like this, too. And God only knows what I'd be without. If a picture paints 1,000 words, and I would do all this stuff. I do
It's great stuff. It's great stuff. Jump onto TADtrivia.com/Las Vegas. Let's win a signed CD and program and Bob Anderson stuff. This has been a great show. Bob, I'm going to skip our either-or questions because this interview has been so good about your career. It's been great having you on the show. We're not done yet.
Oh, hey, Terry, I can't thank you enough. I really, really enjoyed it, man. And all your people that follow you, I'm going to watch, all the time and watching you. And this is really cool. I think you got a real winner here, man, in your hands. You do a great job.
Thank you. Well,
really do.
I want to close the show with this. When we come back, when this industry comes back, and Frank, the man, the music is on Broadway, we have a company called TAD Travel. We do VIP trips around the world. We're going to arrange. These are not false promises. We're going to arrange a VIP trip to New York because I started the show by saying the word legend is overused. It's not overused when you mention the word Bob Anderson. If you get a chance today, go on YouTube, just put Bob Anderson singer in there and just keep clicking. It will enhance your day like no other. Bob, I'm a big fan. I'm a big admirer, but I'm mostly grateful that I've got the chance to know you.
Oh, man, same thing. You're a great guy, and I enjoy working for you when we get those gigs too. So give me a couple more, man.
We will when we get back. We will for sure.
Thank you so much. God bless you and all your listeners, and we just all are praying that this virus thing gets all taken care of around the world pretty soon, and we can all get back to living.
Definitely. Tomorrow on the show, we've got Dot Jones. That is going to be, that's going to be hilarious. From Lizzie McGuire and from Glee and Patch Adams and so many movies and TV shows. And she's our guest tomorrow. I think we're moving into our new studio tomorrow. It'll be good. It's been a great week today. It's been a great show. Thanks for joining us, Bob. Take care, everybody. We'll see you on the next show.
God bless you all. Thank you, Terry.